Hello there, I'm Anna Amelia and I'm from North East Animal Rights. Welcome to another one of my talks on all things vegan. Today's talk is on zoos, but in particular a zoo over in Cumbria, which I'll come to in a moment. Vegans don't visit zoos because zoos are just exploitation and using animals, so we don't visit zoos at all. Zoos use education and conservation as justification for keeping animals in captivity, but if we look at those one by one, we can explore why they are just rubbish. So if you're taking education as a justification for keeping animals in captivity, and you're working in a school and you're taking students to visit a zoo, it's an educational visit. You have animals who are behind bars, who are behind glass, who are not in their natural environment, and they're not displaying natural behaviours either. So why wouldn't you choose to use something which is a bit more of an accurate representation by watching a programme like David Attenborough's fantastic programmes of animals actually in the wild? Um, Now, the conservation part of it as well, the conservation con we call it, 95% of animals in the UK are not endangered, so there's no justification for keeping those at all. They're not breeding for them, they're not helping any animals in the wild at all. They're not increasing numbers in the wild, and they're not protecting habitats in the wild either. And 25% of zoos don't even have animals who are classed as threatened. Now, we have the IUCN, the International Union for Conservation of Nature. They have a number of terms that they use in terms of, in relation to the numbers of animals around the world. So we have the term extinct, which everybody knows. There's extinct in the wild, which means there are only animals of that species in captivity. Critically endangered, vulnerable, and a threat. Some of you will have heard us talk about herring gulls being red listed because they're an endangered species. So these are other animals and other terms who are exactly the same. But animals bred in zoos are rarely released into the wild. Conservationists say that zoo breeding programs make no significant contribution to habitat protection. So if you are breeding chimps to live in a zoo in Cumbria or in London Zoo or Chester Zoo, it's going to make no difference whatsoever to animals in the wild because you have no intention of releasing at all. So if you wanted to say you're helping conservation, you would work with a conservation program in situ in those countries where those animals come from. Now, Born Free Foundation, some of you will know, some of you older ones will know, somebody called Virginia McKenna, who was an actress who starred in a film called Born Free. And she, with her husband, set up an organisation called the Born Free Foundation, which is run by her son, Will Travers now. And Freedom for Animals, who is an organisation in the UK who works to raise awareness for animals in captivity. They've carried out many undercover investigations into zoos and found many issues. Behavioural issues like tigers and elephants pacing, gorillas repeatedly vomiting and eating the vomit, self-mutilation, so pulling hair out, putting fur out, putting feathers out, chewing tails, chewing limbs, and swaying on the spot. Most people would say those things, if they saw an animal doing this, they would say that these are behavioural issues, and it'd be quite concerning to see that. Now, if we look into these animals in the wild, so big cats, we've talked about big cats, sort of, lions and tigers pacing backwards and forwards. In the wild, they would have 18,000 times more space than what they have in zoos. So if you go to a zoo and see, like loads of space for these animals, just consider 18,000 times more is what they should have in the wild to be able to display their natural behaviours. And in lions and zoos spend 48% of their time pacing. So obviously they sleep quite a considerable amount of time out of the 24 hours. However, 48% is still a lot of time, that's kind of like what, maybe 10 hours. So 10 hours of their day, they are pacing up and down, showing these behavioral issues, showing boredom, showing stress, not wanting to be there at all. Wild elephants live 3 times longer than those in captivity. So again, this is another important fact when people are saying that animals live longer in zoos. There is evidence out there that wild animals are living longer rather than being kept in zoos. And let's have a look now at some the aquariums. Some of you will know about SeaWorld and Sea Life, and Peter has a campaign at the moment where they're trying to pressure tour operators into stopping promoting trips to aquariums. So 79% of animals in aquaria are wild caught. So they're taking these animals from the wild, ripping them from the oceans, which is their homes, and then taking them and putting them into watery prisons, essentially. if you go to SeaWorld and see performing dolphins or orcas, for every dolphin or orca you will see, 13 of their friends and family have been killed in dolphin hunts and drives. And this is a horrendous figure. I mean, if you sort of see, 10, maybe 10 dolphins in SeaWorld, and you can imagine, like, for every single one of them, that's 13 animals have been killed, catching these. And the reason why these animals are killed, because some of them are killed for meat, some of them are killed because they're not attractive enough. They don't fit the tourist kind of like smiley, friendly dolphin, that they see on TV. So that's the reason why these animals are killed. Surplus animals in zoos as well are killed. So some of you maybe remember, I think it was maybe probably a couple of years ago, Marius the giraffe, who was a young giraffe in Copenhagen Zoo. He was killed and then he was dismembered in a public event, kind of like billed as an educational event. And he was killed purely because he didn't have the right genes to be breeding from. And there's a huge issue with animals getting killed in zoos because they have they're breeding animals, and then they complain that too many animals are being bred, too many animals are being born, or they're not the right type of animals. They don't look the right type. They don't look pretty enough. They don't look attractive enough. They don't, So there's loads of ridiculous reasons how they're culling animals. They're creating these animals and they're culling them. So let's go on to South Lake Zoo now. So why South Lake Zoo? Because obviously, as vegans, we want all zoos to be closed down. But we recognise the fact that it's a bit like veganism. We want the world to turn vegan overnight, but the reality is it's not going to happen like that. It's going to be, it's slowly. So we know that by concentrating on the zoos who are having serious issues, significant issues with their management and how the animals are looked after, these are the ones that we can win with people power. We always say that people might think that one person can't help, but actually the people power is what wins these sorts of campaigns. So this zoo has been deemed Britain's worst zoo by the press, following investigations by Born Free Foundation and Freedom for Animals. Now these are not old investigations. These are quite recent. So these were carried out at the end of last year. And Borough Council, who are responsible for this zoos in South Lake Zoo, they have carried out their own report and they have found significant failings. And the zoo has been put into, it's kind of classed as special measures. And why we want this zoo closed, obviously, it's a huge task. We understand that a borough council who would be responsible for working with the zoo to get the animals rehomed, we know that's a huge task, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it. We shouldn't just continue to allow these animals to live, to suffer, to live in captivity, and to be treated, in the way that they are being treated at the moment. This zoo is in the failings. If you Google or Ecosia Borough Council South Lake Zoo report, it's quite a lengthy report. It's very detailed and it'll show you all the failings that this zoo has. They're feeding them the wrong things. They're having events like fireworks events in the middle of the zoo. They're encouraging people to pay money to feed penguins by hand. I mean, that's wrong on so many levels. Penguins who are not native to this country should not be coming into contact with humans, paying money to feed them fish. It's just so wrong. So other things with the zoo as well. A few years ago, a zookeeper was tragically killed by a tiger. We've had well over 400 animals dying through malnutrition, through illness, and the animals are not being fed appropriately. And there's just so many issues. I mean, really need to concentrate on getting this zoo closed down. So how you can help? I'm just going to get some information here for you. There is a petition there, and I'm going to show you a QR code here. So I'll hold that there, and hopefully, if you scan that, excuse me, that will take you to a petition on Freedom for Animals website. Now, I'm just going to give you a caveat here, because obviously this scan code here, we don't subscribe to a QR kind of like company where you obviously have to pay for it. So the QR codes are only they only stay live for a few weeks. So if you're watching this video down the line, it possibly won't take you to that, but I'll give you the information of where you can find it, because it will keep on running. So don't sort of panic if you try to scan this code and it says that the petition is not available, okay? So what you can do is you can go to Freedom for Animals website, which is www.freedomforanimals.org.uk, and then have a look at their actions, and it'll show you the South Lake Zoo campaign. Or you can just Google or put into Ecosia Freedom for Animals South Lake Zoo petition, and that brings it straight up as well. But other ways you can help as well. You can email Borough Council, because they're the ones who have the responsibility for renewing the licence. Now, this zoo has up till February 2024 to put right all of the issues that this report highlighted. And from visiting the zoo a couple of weeks ago, we know that this zoo is not going to manage to get all these things done, which then means that the council is going to have to take action and get the zoo closed. But we need to keep the pressure on them. So you can email them by emailing, it's ENV Health, Environmental Health, envhealth@boroughbc.gov.uk. I'll show that link up there. I'm hoping that you can see it there. I'm not sure if this comes up at the front, but I will put it in the link when I post this video. So you can email them polite messages and say to them that you want them to not renew the license, and the animals are not being kept well, and they need to be released to sanctuaries. We need Borough Council to work with organisations like Born Free and Freedom for Animals and other organisations around the UK, and release these animals, maybe a species at a time, and secure places for them, which are far better than the place they're currently in. You can also, if you are, you can contact your MP. So regardless of whether you're living in Cumbria or not, your MP, you can contact your MP and say that you're against zoos full stop, and ask them to look at zoos who have been put into special measures, and pressure their councils to get them closed. So even though that it's not in their area, MPs will still take on board the fact that zoos are a concern and something which you're concerned about. So please don't think that because there's not a zoo in your particular area, there's not one in South Tyneside where I live, but that doesn't mean you can't contact your MP. If you are over in Cumbria, please contact your MP over there, but also contact your ward councillors as well, because they are very, very important, because some of them will be on the licensing department, and they'll work in the tourist department as well. So please tell them that this South Lakes Zoo is a blot on their landscape. They don't need to be advertising this and helping promote it. You can also contact, you can also email South Lakes Zoo as well. If you go onto their website, there is a contact us, and you can go onto them. Please keep it polite, but tell them that they need to close, and they need to work with the councils and organisations to release their animals into sanctuaries. You can also email the press. So if you have a press contact or a local paper, contact them and tell them that you feel that this zoo needs to close. And again, just keep raising awareness. All of this keeps South Lakes Zoo in the public eye and puts them under pressure and keeps them in the spotlight. You can also you can contact us. We will help you kind of draw up an email if you want us to word something. If you're not a wordsmith, that's absolutely fine. We will help you as much as we can. And obviously the last one is don't visit the zoos. Don't give them money and let them take your money and put some of it towards the animals, and the majority of it goes into the pockets of the management. So that's my talk on zoos, in particular South Lakes Zoo today. So I hope you find that interesting, and please help these people over in Cumbria who are the activists who are working very, very hard to get this zoo closed. I'm going to sign off now. So thank you very much for listening. My name is Anna Malia, and I'm from North East Animal Rights. Goodbye for now.